Dragon Ball Gekishin Squadra, a game that is far from perfect, yet still so fun and still so addicting. But today in this video, I'm going to talk about everything that is wrong with this game, everything that I feel like needs to be changed, needs a balance change, needs any type of fixing, or anything that will be problematic for the game into the future. This is mainly just a discussion about how I feel about the game going forward and how I feel about the game right now, and anything else that I need to bring up in this video in regards to this game. I have played this game for almost 100 hours, and I feel like I've gotten a good enough gripe on how this game flows and what needs to be changed in order to be successful in the future. But before we get into that, if you guys enjoy these Gekishin videos, please be sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Now let's hop into the video. Alright, so look, I'm here in this game guide. In order for me to figure this out, I will literally listed out all my problems, and most of them are here in the game guide. So I'm probably just gonna talk over it while I'll put probably some gameplay on the background, but just so you guys know where I'm coming from and where I'm starting to talk at, it's gonna be right here. So I'm gonna put some gameplay in the background in 3, 2, 1. All right, so now let's get to the discussion. All right, so first thing that I want to discuss with this game, I want to start off with characters. Characters in this game, obviously we just got Gotenks, we got Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I want to talk about how obtainable these characters are. Really just characters and cosmetics. Now as of right now, it costs normally $7.99 to get a character, which is not terrible, but at the same time, I used to think, $7.99 for a character, it's not bad. Obviously people have jobs that can get a character for $7.99, but the more that I think about it, I'm like, in this game there is no way really specifically to grind diamonds in order to get characters. So meaning like each character costs a certain amount of diamonds, and in order to get those diamonds you either pay for them or you play the game for a certain amount of hours, a certain amount of time. And when I have been looking through the missions trying to find diamonds, or even like Zenny perhaps, it's very hard to get. There's very specific missions, and even those missions don't really give you enough Zenny or enough diamonds to be able to purchase a character or purchase any capsules or anything that you need to get characters or cosmetics. Right now it's not like the biggest issue in the world. The $7.99 king for a character is not that bad, but not having like missions or daily missions for diamonds or weekly missions for diamonds in order to save up and get characters, I feel like that's really not great for the game, because it just kind of forces it more into a pay to play game rather than, hey, like, and let's just say, I know in like Dragon Ball Legends or Dokkan for comparison, you can buy currency to get the character, and in this game you don't have to max out characters. But this game is still a PvP based game, and having a character over someone who doesn't have a character can be an advantage, and not being able to save up for that character for the people that don't have access to buy that character can be very troubling. So I feel like that's something they really need to look into and fix. Like I said, right now it's not too big of an issue, but the fact that there's really no way to like exceptionally grind characters, I think that's a problem. So that's the first thing I want to talk about, is the character accessibility. Let's move on to the next thing in this game, which is the skills. So by skills I mean the skills of each character in the game. I remember them saying that this game wasn't supposed to be competitive in any way, shape, or form, and that's okay. Honestly, I don't think every game needs to be super competitive, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't balance things. everything should be balanced to a certain percentage. I feel like there's some characters in this game that just have very crazy super attacks, very crazy ultimate attacks. Like, for example, not orange. I don't say orange Piccolo. Piccolo's light grenade. My next video is gonna be on Piccolo. Because I think Piccolo is really good, but I also think he's a little broken in some aspects. And his light grenade does more damage the farther you are away, but what I've experienced is that it really doesn't do more damage the farther you are away. It just one-shots you the farther you are away. And it's like, I'm trying to think, like, did they test out these damage percentages before they put these into the game? Because I'm trying to think, like, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, his whole kit revolves around his Kamehameha and his instant transmission. His Kamehameha will literally take you from 100 to 0 in a matter of 2.5 seconds, and there's almost nothing you can do about it. It literally forces you to retreat every single time. And the thing is like, you get those people that they will play these characters and they will just spam, or they'll sit in the back and they'll spam and they'll backdoor, and it's like, it's just not a play style that I think this game was meant for, right? Like, I feel like this game is meant for team fights, and like, it's a MOBA, right? But it's like, it's meant for team fighting. It's not like, I can't explain it, but just like the certain play styles of certain characters, I like having the mix, but more characters play a certain way than not, if that makes any sense. So all I'm saying is, some of the skills in this game need balancing. You shouldn't be getting one shot by a super one skill. Any skill that is not an ultimate, you should not be getting one shot by it from full HP. I stand by that. Any skill that is not an ultimate, you should not be getting one shot by it from full HP, and that's what most characters in this game can do. Now, the divine cards play a little bit into that, and we'll get into that in a minute, but no character in this game should be one-shotting you if they're not using their ultimate. So that's another thing I'm gonna harp on, just the skills for the characters. And okay, so now let's move on to the next thing, which might be a little controversial, but I'm gonna talk about the rankings, bro. Now, I'm not saying I dislike this ranking system, but here's the thing. When I queue up with a friend, right, I feel like there should be certain rankings to where you should, be able to queue up with a friend, right? If my friend's in E rank and I'm in B rank, there should be like some middle ground of skill level that we queue into, instead of me being B rank and I queue into a bunch of A ranks and my friend's E rank, and then we just get dogged on. Now, to be fair, if you're queuing up like that, which you shouldn't be because the skill gap is there, but if you are queuing up like that, it shouldn't even be allowed in the first place. And I've had times where I'm solo queuing and somebody on my team is queuing up with their duo. I'm in A rank, I'm approaching S rank. I have somebody who I'm solo queuing, somebody on my team is queuing up with their teammate. They're in A tier with me, and their teammate is in either D or E tier, and they're most likely playing technical or they're playing tank. And those two roles outside of damage are pretty important, especially tank, because your goal is to soak up damage, stay alive, and if you're constantly in the enemy due to a lack of skill, not knowing when to retreat, not knowing when to attack, not knowing who to attack, not knowing what skills to use, it causes the team to fall apart, bro, especially if you're playing tank. So I feel like the roles, I don't mind the rankings in this game, but the ranking queue in this game needs to be fixed, and I shouldn't be solo queuing into a team that is a 4-stack, and a 4-stack should not be solo queuing into a team that is just a bunch of solo queues. So I don't know, that's just something I think of. Like, the ranks themselves are fine, ED, CB, AS, that's fine, It's just the queuing needs to be fixed. I mean, I guess really all they need to do is, if you're gonna play with somebody who's a lower rank than you, find a middle ground. If I'm in A rank, I'm playing with a D rank, we should be playing in the middle of that. So people that are in like C2, C1, B4, something like that, something in the middle, so it matters, you know what I mean? But enough of that. That's the roles, that's the rankings. Let's talk about something else. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the rules of the game. So again, this is a MOBA, Dragon Ball. Everybody has a tower, 4 towers on each side, then you have the Dragon Shell plus the Dragon Ball. Now, I will say this, one of the most infuriating things in this game is trying to defend your tower, yet they're still able, the enemy is still able to do damage to your tower while you're hitting them. And it's really just chip damage, that's all it is. But it's also just like, why? Like, why are you able, like, the whole point of me defending my tower is for me to disrupt you from doing damage to the god and keep you away. But if I'm hitting you and you're still managing to just keep coming back and doing chip damage and keep coming back and do chip damage, it defeats the purpose of me trying to defend. It's like, it's in order for me to defend, I shouldn't have to come over here and one-shot you immediately to protect my god. Now, if he's already low HP, then I understand. But the way I'm thinking of it for like the gods, I feel like once they get below a certain HP threshold, then like chip damage either begins or it stops. Like for the first half of a God of Destruction's HP, you could do chip damage fine, but after that, you aren't allowed to do chip damage unless you're not allowed to do chip damage at all. The only way you could do damage to a God of Destruction is if you're free from taking damage and you got a clean line of sight to the god. So if you know you're going against somebody and they miss one of their skills and you're completely untouched, that's not chip damage. You're actually completely untouched. You can use your ability to take care of the god. That is fair. But having it to where your god's at a sliver of HP and all you have to do is go over there and touch it once and it's done, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think it's fair, and I've lost a lot of games that way, and it gets to a point where there's nothing you can do. Now, I understand that games would be able to go on for a long amount of time if, you know, chip damage wasn't allowed, which is why I'm trying to meet in the middle, where I'm saying once the god gets to a certain amount of HP, chip damage either begins or it stops, to, you know, speed up the process yet make it a little bit more fair. Not to mention the God of Destructions, in my opinion, they seem a little weak. They seem like they take a lot of damage, but then again, the whole point is to defend them for that exact reason, so I guess it's not terrible. But chip damage is a problem in this game for the Gods of Destruction. So enough of that. That's what some of the rules. Let's talk about another thing in the game, which is Zeno. Zeno, man, I'm gonna tie this into something else. I'm gonna tie Zeno into the bosses. So if you don't know, I'm sure you guys know, but if the first team to kill all 3 bosses gets 2 Zenos to come to both sides of the gods, or it's either both sides or one, regardless, you get 2 Zenos and they start, you know, banging on your god of destruction, and the time that they're doing that is increased. Now I'm not saying that this shouldn't be a thing, but I'm also saying that there's a lot of times where my team will be doing damage to the boss, Jacko, Nappa, Rebrian. We're doing damage to the boss. We get him down to a little bit of HP, and the enemy, somebody from the enemy team comes over throws in one skill either on purpose or accident, and they manage to kill the boss. And that hurts our team, especially when you put in 95% of the damage and they just come over there and steal it in one hit, and it either didn't even mean to, or they tried to and they succeeded. But even then, like, there has to be some type of balance right there, like I feel like it would be better if it was like first person to get there, whoever does the most damage between the team is the one that gets it. Or whoever they do, like, if I do 95% of damage to the boss and the other team does 5% damage, then the percentage is then split between both of our gods. So we do, a little percentage of damage to the enemy god of destruction, and since they did 5% to one of the bosses, Nappa, Rebrand, whatever, they do a little bit of damage to our gods. I feel like that's fair. It should not be I come over there, 98% of the damage is done by me, the enemy Trunks comes out of nowhere, hits one of his skills, kills the god or kills the boss, and then it ends up in me losing a god because Nappa attacked my god, or my god gets down to super low HP because of that. Like, that causes so many games to be lost, and it has happened to me so many times. And once two Zenos get on your side, once it gets to two Zenos and they start coming on your side, you pretty much lost. There's like an 85 to 90% chance that you will lose, right? And I mean, 10% is not bad. You can still win off of 10%, but that 90% chance to lose, believe me, it's there, bro. So when I say, like, Zeno is a problem in my opinion. The bosses concept is a problem in my opinion, not to mention how weak and fragile the dragon shell is. Again, like the same thing I said with the god of destruction with the chip damage. If you're taking damage, you shouldn't be able to do anything. If I'm hitting you with an ultimate, if I'm hitting you with a Kamehameha or any type of damage, you should not be able to walk up and grab the Dragon Ball. You shouldn't. You shouldn't be able to do that. And the dragon shell in and of itself is very weak, and I feel like games would be a lot more exciting if the dragon shell wasn't weak, because not only does it give the other team another opportunity, whether they're getting absolutely destroyed or not, but it creates more tension in the game, because it's like, okay, we're down to the dragon shell, to the Dragon Ball, we gotta protect this thing, but we also have to go on the offense. But now it's like, once they get to the dragon shell, you pretty much lost, bro. It's over. Like, they don't even have to pay attention to you at that point. They go straight to the dragon shell, they drop an ultimate, they destroy it, and they take the ball. Simple. They don't have to worry about anybody else but the Dragon Ball. So I think that needs to be fixed. Again, like, that's just one thing I'm just not a fan of. But enough with that. Let's move on to the last thing. I have two things left that I want to talk about, and then I think as far as that's all I have to talk about. So the next thing I want to talk about is the divine combo cards. Really, the only gripe I have with this is that there's not enough. Obviously the game just began, it just started, and like I said, they don't want it to be as competitive as they want to, but even then that philosophy doesn't work, because at the end of the day, this is a PvP game. Players are going to be competitive, and if you add all this other stuff into the game, it has to be competitive at that point. If I'm playing PvP to not be competitive, then I might as well not play PvP. But there's just simply not enough combo cards, and obviously I think that's a product of the game just being just about to come out. But they need to add more, just so characters have more access to different builds. I feel like that would help with the variety of the game and make it to where, every character is good in their own sense, with their own combo of cards, if that makes sense. Like, Android 17 is on the same level as a tank in a sense, if he's got the right combo cards. in terms of like his durability, but like a tank like Cooler is on the same level as Super Saiyan 3 Goku in terms of damage if he's got the right combo cards, which currently is not the case because 3 different roles, and most people, like, if you're tank, you're picking all defense. If you're damage, you're picking all damage. If you're technical, you're probably picking a mix of defense and damage, or defense and mobility. So it's really just like more combinations need to be in this game. I don't know if they would even consider adding it, but I mean, the divine combo cards, I'm gonna mix this in with a divine draw as well. There needs to be more divine draws along with more divine combo cards. Right now, in my opinion, the most toxic divine draw is Super Start, and either Super Start or Cell Juniors, or both of them combined, which I'm just gonna go into my last point. Cell Juniors is the last thing I was going to talk about, which combines into the divine draw. Cell Juniors are terrible. It's just, I think it's, you know, Cell Juniors is the same thing as the bosses. If I do 95% of the damage, you should not be able to come over and just take away all the XP just because you did one hit. Either split up the percentages or give it to nobody. You know what I mean? Because as soon as you lose and a Cell Junior pops up, the game is over. If you get killed on a route and a Cell Junior pops up for the other team, you lost. Because now they're 2 levels ahead of you. You have to come back. You have to play catch up. Zeno's coming to your side. And now you have to fight the other team who is 2 levels ahead of you. And it's not fun. So I think that needs to be toned down a little bit. And I feel like the Cell Juniors wouldn't be much of a problem if there were more divine draws to choose from. Right now, it feels like there's only like dude, it's got to be like 10, like 8 or 10, 8, 9 or 10, something like that, bro. And it only chooses 2 per match, and some of them are really useless. Like the cloud thing is like not, it's okay, but it, you know, the clouds, the bushes under the gods, I mean, those are just whatever. Obviously you have the EXO Junior, you have the Superstar, you have the Super Boost Skill 1, but it's like there needs to be more diversity so you're not seeing the same characters every match, if that makes sense. If you see Superstar plus Cell Juniors, you already know who you're gonna see when you load into the match. You're gonna see Super Saiyan Goku, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, you might see Gotenks, you probably will see Cooler or Vegeta. Like, you're gonna see the same lineup across the board with certain divine draws. So it's like there needs to be more diversity in that, so that that doesn't happen and that doesn't become a thing to hurt the game in the future. So yeah, I mean, so far I've been enjoying the game. It's just I have my gripes with the game, and I feel like there's, you know, these are, I don't want to say minor things for them to fix, but they are definitely things that need fixing and need balancing. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much, but I mean, I had to get that off my chest. I wanted people to know, like, you know, how am I feeling about the game? How's the game going? What direction is the game going in? Is it good? Is it bad? All that other stuff. But again, let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about this. And I will see you guys in the next Gekishin Squadra video.